Welcome back, pro wrestling fans. Welcome back, IWC. It's your old buddy, the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy, and I tell it like it is. Coming to you live to tape, 25 feet below the surface of the earth, here on Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel, for another special episode of Story Time here on Chaos Corner. I can't thank you enough for being here. I greatly appreciate it. Drop an elbow on that like button. Leave a comment. Say something in the premiere chat. Big shout out to my two moderators, my old buddy, Austin Nance, and of course the OTS Tribal Queen. Sit back and relax. Business is about to pick up. You can hear them breathing. You can hear them exerting every ounce of energy in their athletic bodies as a battle for the world's title in the NWA is on the line. February 20th, 1989, Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat Trilogy, the UIC Pavilion in Chicago, Illinois. There's times in life where you're kind of forced into finding out what you're made of. Isn't that true here in 2024 going into 2025 and the reality of what's happening in the current events in the world today, especially here in the United States of America? But that's another story for another time. Stay mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually fit, because if he's for us, no one else can be against us. Let that marinate. Let that sink in. In 1989, I felt I was good at my job, but I had reservations about my work like I still do to this day. Now remember, fans, we are reading this live together at the same time. I have never read this before. We're doing it together for the very first time, so if I rumble, stumble, mumble, bumble, which I usually do anyway, nobody's perfect. Bear with me. One man, unique, unedited, unscripted, raw dog for you, the fans. My over 50 years as a researcher, historian, a scout, an agent, a producer, a smark, a mark. That's right, I said it, a mark. And my over 3 decades as a pro wrestling manager, booked over 100 times a year, come out 2 or 3 times a night on my events, which equals the over 200 matches a year, who took the fucking bumps from pillar to post and coast to coast, which most of you out there can't say in this podcast world who are trying to do this, because this isn't a podcast. This is a show, making it relatable from my unique perspective. No better than anyone else, just unique, and that's why you're here. What? Too much? Too soon? I felt myself grow in Mid-South, but in the back of my head I always wondered where my voice might lead me on the national stage. I guess what I'm saying is, now that the guide rails were off, I wondered how good I really was. I was a part of WCW during a year when the legendary Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat Trilogy put my thoughts of where I was to the test. This was a series of matches so perfect, so ahead of their time, that they're still talked about today as the benchmark when it comes to wrestling trilogies. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. And all the ingredients were from the start. In life, contrast creates friction, and friction creates heat. Same thing in wrestling. Ric Flair was a brash, flashly loudmouth, and Ricky Steamboat was a humble, quiet everyman. Rick was a ladies' man. Ricky was a family man. Rick was fighting for ego and lifestyle. Ricky was fighting for pride and legacy. How's everybody doing out there? The two men looked different, talked different, and were different, and just happened to be two of the most talented professional wrestlers in the world. And I was made lead broadcaster of their program. Hold on, fans. I feel like I got a piece of lemon as I'm drinking the lemon with water stuck here. Bear with me, man. I know it's an unearthly sight. I get it. Okay. I think I'm better there. Bear with me. Technical problems. Bear with me. Because I'm a fan of wrestling first and foremost, I knew calling Flair Steamboat was going to be something special, and I just felt blessed to be at the right place at the right time to get the chance. The whole Chi-Town Rumble card was pretty darn good. With the young bleach blonde Sting standing out as being majorly over with the crowd, he was clearly on the rise. And it was a great sign for WCW that another young, talented, and hungry babyface was growing in popularity. But it was time for the main event. The atmosphere in the building changed. I was on the headsets that night with Magnum TA, who although he had not been seriously injured in a car wreck a few years prior, would have almost certainly been a main feature in the NWA main event scene himself. We had a good chemistry together, and the stage was set for something special. Again, I apologize for the rumbling and stumbling. And Flair started it all off with a kiss. He entered the ring accompanied by 6 beautiful ladies, kissed one, and then threw roses to the crowd. The champion certainly travels in fast company. I think that would distract me, but I guess he's used to it. I certainly wouldn't be. Steamboat, however, was steely focused, ready for business, and so was I. I wanted to set that stage, bring the audience inside the emotion and weight of the match at hand. I was raised on radio sports broadcasting, and I could see a little of that visual storytelling in my work that night. Feel free to read along with the commentary sections in my voice if that helps. Use a "by God" to ease you into it if you'd like. me. Good old JR. Prayers out to Jim Ross. 1 hour time limit with the World Heavyweight title of the world. And this was what we've waited on. The first NWA champion was crowned in 1905. There has been 2 title changes in Chicago since the inception of the NWA. One in 1961, where Nature Boy Buddy Rogers upset Lou Thesz. And one in 1987 when Ric Flair regained the World's Heavyweight Championship from Ron Garvin. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, 5'11", 235 pounds. Ric Flair, 6 feet, 242 pounds. Neither man will have an advantage as far as the size is concerned in this one. The finest official in the sport, Tommy Young, has been assigned to this very important contest. Collar and elbow tie-up. Flair and Steamboat. It's Flair with the advantage. Steamboat retaliates with a side headlock. This one will be quick, I can assure you. Football tackle. Steamboat right down. 1, 2, and Flair kicks out. What a surprising move. Hey, the Dragon doesn't work by the hour, I've been told. He has proven he can beat the champion, but he can do it with a belt on the line? That is the question. And that's how we got this thing rolling. The history, the spectacle, the players, the stakes, the stats, all of it building to a question this match needed to be answered. Could Steamboat beat Flair when the bright lights of history were burning down on his back? Well, we were about to be taken on a 23-minute journey of pure passion, ability, and heart to find out. And personally, I wanted to know if I could keep time with the men who were back then the 2 best in the world. I needed to find out if my lyric could hang with the music they were providing on the fly live in front of an enthralled crowd. You could hear them breathing. You could hear them exerting every ounce of energy in their athletic bodies as a battle for the world's title in the NWA is on the line. Another chop by the Dragon. The number 1 contender is fighting this one for his family, for his young son, for every working class person in America. He's giving it his all. Oh, the clothesline. The Dragon came out of nowhere. I wanted to remind our viewers of the contrast between the 2 wrestlers once more, and that, in the build-up to the match, Flair had insisted on repeatedly insulting Steamboat's family and his integrity. Well, as another great sportsman once famously said, Steamboat took that personally, and he repaid Flair repeatedly with heavy hands. Ric Flair is in trouble. The Dragon reaching down. You gotta think he's got that young son, the little Dragon, right in the front of his mind. He's up top. The Dragon will fly. He nailed it. Oh, Tommy Young went down. He's got Flair pinned, but Tommy Young, the referee, is down. Oh, I hate to see this. It's terrible. I hate for something like this to happen. Tommy Young is not physically able to make the count. They wiped him out. Wait. Steamboat's going back up to the top. This match is still ongoing. Steamboat flies, and he missed it. He missed the flying body press off the top rope, and now Flair has turned the corner. He twists the leg inside. Wait a minute. Inside cradle. Can he hold him? Yes, he can. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat has won the world title. Whew. As you can see, the chains have quickly fell off here at Chaos Corner to represent the chaos of the trilogy between Steamboat and Flair back in 1989 for the NWA World's Heavyweight title. Do you see the motivation and the passion that comes out of the person behind this camera? And that's me, the GOC. Nobody else gives it to you the way I do. Kick back and relax. Let me get back to where I was. Steamboat, stunned, beaten, and exhausted, held this title up as the Chicago crowd lost its mind. Flair looked devastated, a bad loser. He cursed the call, the referee, the crowd, and anyone and anything else in his path. Nate, always smart and always on, was already laying the bricks for his Steamboat's next two encounters. The intensity in Chicago had been unbelievable, but their second match a couple of months later, while it was another classic, had a completely different vibe. The atmosphere in New Orleans for the Clash of the Champions rematch was strange because the Superdome seated around 60,000 fans, and we only had around 6,000 fans in the building. But that didn't stop Ric Flair walking to the ring in style while the company misspelled the name R-I-C-K, Ric Flair, behind him in neon letters. Talk about having the brain of a dehydrated baby. They certainly did there in New Orleans that night. I'd never seen a more WCW thing in my life. The match was 2 out of 3 falls, was a 60-minute time limit, and it was a bruiser. They have no regard for their own bodies, and even less for their opponents. After almost an hour of a classic encounter, which was more methodical and strategic than the first, but maybe even more thrilling, the men were tied 1-1. Flair back suplexed Ricky, but the ref counted Rick's shoulders on the mat, even though he shouldn't have, because the Nature Boy's foot was in the ropes. The controversial call meant both men would have to meet a third and final time to decide the fate of the world title once and for all. As we moved toward match number 3, I felt honored to have called 2 already, as through their changes in style and storyline across the matches, I felt like my game was evolving. My work was getting sharper and more distinct as I went along for the ride. And then we rolled into Nashville, Tennessee for the third and final match. The Nature Boy came ready, walking in with 40 women this time. That's right, 40. He might not have been the champion, but he was more brash, more arrogant, and more confident than ever before. It was quite the visual to see Flair surrounded by a parade of sequins, lipstick, and peroxide blonde, while Steamboat walked to the ring with his wife, both of them helping their young son ride in on a pony. What a spectacle it was. I remember it like yesterday. Now, this is all going on, and I believe I said 1989. I lived it, obviously, fans. So at that point, I'm 26, maybe 27 years old, just to give you where I was in life, about ready to make my debut as a pro wrestling manager, just to give you the scene. Needless to say, Flair and Steamboat had another absolute match for the ages. The chemistry between Rick and Ricky was so perfectly mixed that I believe it would have been impossible for them to have had a bad program. But it helped tremendously that all 3 matches they had were unique, with Rick and Ricky determined to change it up between bouts. Sometimes their matches were technical, sometimes wild. Sometimes they were targeting body parts, and other times it had the feeling of a brawl. Ring psychology, storytelling, emotional investment. Remember the time frame. Learn something. I hope you have your notepad out and you're taking notes. But it's no surprise when you have two artists who in their paint like Picasso. In their paint like Picasso. Say that 3 times fast. That you end up with something great, no matter the tone or tenor of what they're producing. Steamboat fights back. Boy, what a heart the champion has. What character. Ooh, what a chop by Steamboat and a karate kick. Perhaps it was out of desperation, but what a move by the world champion whose left leg is virtually useless in the ring. Steamboat's got him up. A slam, but Flair inside cradle. 1, 2, he did it. Steamboat's leg buckled and Flair has done it. Flair has done it. Flair has done it. It's a great memory for me. I've never called 3 better matches in a series. People talk about Omega versus Okada is up there. Rock versus Austin at WrestleMania is up there. But for me, it was this trilogy. Back when I was 15 years in and finally feeling like I was beginning to come into my own. Wow. Now that was story time. Fans, I just wanted to get on here this weekend and give you some content and relieve a little stress and add something to your weekend, which I hope I did. I hope I accomplished. Again, we're reading this for the very first time together. I pick up the book, I go to a chapter, and I just start reading stuff that I've never written before. I've lived it. I saw it live. I have it on VHS down here in the vault of Chaos Chronicles. But we do this together here on Chaos Corner. And I can't thank you enough for putting up with my chicanery and my cantankerousness and my rumbling, stumbling, bumbling ways, along with the entertainment personified aspect of this channel. Pumping out the videos for you fans like you wouldn't believe. Anywhere from 30 to 50 to 60 to 80 videos a week. And I have you fans viewing in every week on a slow week at 5 or 6 or 7,000 fans live each week. To when we get 11 and 12,000, and then the blockbuster weeks where we've had over 25,000 fans here. I can't thank you guys enough for this small channel and the work that I put in for you guys. And it's not just for you. Whether it was 1 person here or 30,000 here, I would still be doing this. This shows you the content of my character. I'll stand by. I'm not going anywhere yet. Let's build this channel together. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, drop an elbow on that thing, as I always say. Get us out into the algorithm. Because I'll say that to say this. And you know that I tell it like it is. Don't you dare miss it. Oh, wait, I forgot to say this before I go. Because some of you need to hear it every time I'm on here. And I've been saying this for years and years. And you take it how the way you want to take it. This isn't directly pointed at anyone. This is at all of us, including me. In order to get respect, you have to start with respecting yourself. Once you do that, you open other people's minds to respecting you. There's 3 types of people in this world. Those who don't know what happened, those who wonder what happened, and people like the guardian of chaos, Big Daddy, that make things happen. Tomorrow is not guaranteed for any of us. Stay with like-minded people. It's about to get a lot worse out in society, in this country, and around the globe. From the weather, to the economy, to the border invasion, to all the politics, to all the racial division, it's all being planted. And everybody's feeding into it. Use your own discernment. Do your own research. Stand up for yourself and your family in this country. And that's all I have to say. And that's a shoe.